you Oh, can you guys hear us now? Did you guys hear T.I. Kevin?
Testing.
Are we here? Hello? Someone tell us we're here. Hello!
Hey!
Hello, everybody.
I give it
All right.
3 and pseudo-trainer.
So, all right. Shoutouts to SpeedGaming for working tirelessly to help us get this situated. We're gonna be letting them do their great job. Sorry about us beginning with the chair squeak. That was T.I. Kevin calling him out. I'm not to blame. But
yes,
anyways,
I need to get WD-40 after
we
this
have
match.
a ton of stuff to talk about. But first,
oh my gosh, we gotta recap what happened. This race is insane.
T.I. Kevin is here with me, but KonceptioN has dropped.
Yes, that is the biggest news. KonceptioN quit after a death on the boat, which quitting in a tournament run, probably not the best strategy, considering he could have gotten second still easily, I believe, in this.
Yeah. Well, we shouldn't say easily. Anything can happen in Pokemon
Yes,
Red.
not necessarily easily, but second was, I believe, better than 50% for KonceptioN still.
Yeah, second is definitely still up for grabs, and especially in a tournament where best times still go on. One race is not the end. It is definitely, and it's also hard. Let's go back to, so a ton of stuff happened. Vivec had a really bad start, actually, with a bunch of encounters and all that. GBF has been kind of memeing this whole time and been naming the Pokemon. And then KonceptioN had an insane start. Like, that start was so lucky and pretty decent. And it was really cool to watch. And then KonceptioN was actually doing a route without Mega Punch and some Baby Moon manips, some shorter ones. And when they went in to the Paris manip, we saw them lead Horn Attack to put in low HP. And instead of going for that YOLO ball, they missed very, very high chances of catch rate multiple times in a row. And they actually had to redo the minute. But I have to say this. They got a Spearow. And I was mentioning, and someone in chat said that Spearow's worse, blah, blah, blah. Well, Duck Strats would have been faster there. So, ha!
Yes.
Spearow mattered. Okay. Anyways, so on to, after that, the bridge, no one had a really bad bridge per se, and then going into everything that happened, because of having to redo that manip, Vivec took a pretty good lead and has been able to keep it. And then KonceptioN was working on trying to get back up that run, and was doing a pretty decent job until the rival fight on boat. And in that case, you really don't want to lose red bar, and PB attempts to really kind of train you to go for red bar there and just go for it. 1 second. So they train you to like just go for it. But in that case, if you are dead to Vine Whip crit, healing is 100% the right play. Because killing your Pokemon is very hard. And depending on how much HP the Ivysaur has, Paris can kill it, and that's kind of better than dying to it. It's really weird. But it's really hard because Potion on Rival, but it definitely happens. And you have to make up your XP some way, and then it's just really rough. And this is kind of where we are right now. Vivec has been playing really well, keeping the lead. And I wonder if they're watching right now, because if they would see where their standings are right now, I would definitely play it as safe as possible. Like right now, they do not have red bar, and they are just going through because they don't need it. What's your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, I completely agree with Vivec's play here. Vivec is totally doing the right thing by saving liberally and not being in red bar. They have no need to take any risks at all with the current lead. And GBF, really, I like the memeing a little bit, but nicknaming the starter probably was too much. It's like several minutes of time loss, so that's a bit much for a tournament race.
Nicknaming Squirtle is one level, and I think Pokeguy mentioned it before, but I'm fairly certain about it too. The window for Nidoran is big enough that you can nickname it a few characters, and you can actually still hit the manip. So like if that's what you're trying to do is meme it up, you like Wasop deserves to be a Squirtle. I will fight for that.
Yeah,
but
the Nido, that's gonna actually really affect the outcome of the race.
Oh, definitely. So we're kind of coming into now after everything, we're going to transition into normally commentating. So what's happening right now is that Vivec is going through Rock Tunnel in the dark because getting Flash would be very slow, and it's actually much easier than you would think to go through this blind. And they have already gotten past one of the worst fights, and they're kind of into this free section of the run where you at this point you already know Nidoking is super strong. We got a really high level Pokemon, and we've been funneling all the experience into it. Because how RPG speedrunning really works is if you look at tons of games across the board, a lot of it is trying to funnel experience as efficiently as possible. And in Pokemon, where you can literally try to beat the game with one Pokemon, that's your most efficient way of doing it. All these resources we're funneling into this Nidoking, and it's just going to get so strong.
Indeed.
And here we go. GBF with cans.
And it works. Yep.
Cans Manip is one of the coolest in the entire game, I think, because there's actually three. One that does not use pallets, and the cool thing with them is there's a thing called IGT, and we're not going to go super in depth, but IGT is basically a manip can fail if you save on the wrong frame, which is controllable, but in the middle of a run, we're not counting that. That's so hard to control that we really can't. So if you save on the wrong frame, the manip will fail. Well, there's a backup manip that literally is the same manip with A presses or without, depending on which one you do. Just 2 A presses is the difference between this manip. So if you fail, you quick restart and do the other manip, and it will always work because they don't share IGTs actually. Mm-hmm. And then there's a third one, which you're not going to see here, and it's a palette manip where you can kind of change the palette so you can see in Rock Tunnel.
One of the interesting things on the Gambler fight is, so Thrash is super useful when you have like 3 or 4 opponents, and it's only faster than using Shake moves when it's across 4 Pokemon in total. So there's a great example with the 3 Pidgeys at the end of the Vermilion section, or the beginning really, before you're fighting Surge. It's a great example. Oh, Vivec having some issues finding the
hidden elixir, but we got there. We did it.
But there's this point where you can actually Bubble Beam the Pidgeys 3 times, and if you get the ranges, it's faster than Thrashing. But over the course of 4 Pokemon, Thrash's wind-up animation is recovered by the time save from not having to select a move over and over again. Now, on the Gambler fight, this is very interesting because you actually have to use the wind-up animation of Thrash on Vulpix, even though it's slower than any other of your move's animations, because Thrash is so powerful, it's the only move you have that can kill Vulpix in one shot. Vulpix has just too much special to be killed in one hit from Bubble Beam, whereas Growlithe is more of an attack-based Pokemon. It doesn't have very much special.
And I think even if you have Mega Punch, I think that won't kill, or it's a range. Someone who knows the math better can correct us, but Thrash there is just so powerful, and it will one-shot it that it's worth it. And you can, even if you want, you can Thrash the Growlithe, but that's a range to kill, in which if you do it, you'll save a little bit of time because you get that one free turn, but it's generally not worth it in a run because the range is not very favorable.
Yep. So you get this weird half and half situation where you do Ball Beam because the range is so much better, but then you swap back to using Thrash because you need it for, again, the damage. It's one of the few places in the run where the amount of damage that the moves do is the most important thing. And at least after the early game.
And then we're doing the shopping trip here. So in Pokemon speedrunning, this is pretty iconic. Almost every single run you watch, unless glitch categories, will generally have a big shopping trip where we save all of our money and we buy all the items we can that will help us get us through this game. And in Gen 1, that's one of the best kind of shows of that, is you can kind of see that we've been saving all of our money up till now, and you are able to just buy a bunch of things. So a couple of things we bought were things like repels, super potions, but we bought a TM here. We're not going to spoil what it is, but that's going to be very important soon.
Not going to spoil what it is.
And then we did a little bit more. We got some more TMs, and then we also bought X items. But we're going to see a really kind of well thought out menu here. So this is actually a little bit different version of some menus you can do. Red right now has a bunch of different menus you can try to do. And it just depends on what you like, what route you're going for. One thing that is pretty common is I think what you see here, this was this super repel in slot 2 and then XX in slot 3?
I would think so.
We'll have to see, but this would be the most up to date if they swapped TM07, but I don't believe they did. We'll see here in a moment when they use an XX and I can update you. But this menu has just a bunch of variations and ways, and GBF.
Yeah, very close to getting seen by the biker.
Oh, of course, you're not gonna exact this fight yet. He didn't do early horn drill strats, and also that's one of the things you can do. Going into the split, depending on your HP, you can actually teach horn drill earlier, and that will kind of buy you some safety for some of the fights. It'll make this fight pretty straightforward. You'll horn attack everything you see, and then
horn drill pseudo.
Sorry, horn drill everything you see, and it makes another fight a little bit later on a little bit safer, but it comes at the cost of 1 extra X accuracy and some time.
Yeah. And money is very tight in red, because you buy so many X accuracies. Sorry. Share strats.
Share.
I will get with WD-40 for tomorrow's stuff with Amoeba.
Someone clip that, and if that chair makes any sound tomorrow, spam TI Kevin with that.
Donation goal for new chair.
Oh,
please.
Definitely.
Twitch.tv/TyKevin83.
We're heading into one of the more annoying parts of the fight. So, of the run, I should say. So in Pokemon Red, you actually deal with 90% accurate moves, less than you would in, say, Yellow, which is good, but this section is where you kind of deal with it the most, and it's actually a pretty decent death point, is these 2 Ghastlies. If you are low enough HP, below 23 HP, which can easily happen in PB attempts, if you miss Rock Slide, which is a 90% accurate move, it's a 1 in 3 chance to just die outright to Nightshade. And then the other moves it has is Confuse Ray, and getting confused, you're already kind of out of luck there. And then Lick, which can paralyze you, and then you can that's kind of better than Dead, obviously, because they have a full restore. They could full restore that off and kind of heal up, but the other 2 can be very scary.
Yeah, so ideally not missing any of the rock slides, and also ideally not doing rock slide skip strats, because this is Pokemon Red and you're in red bar very often when you go into the tower.
Kevin, have you heard that one of our runners actually did rock slide skip in this tournament already?
I did not know about this. That is something that is interesting to me now.
Rachel skipped getting rock slide because he had some unfortunate luck and was trying to meme it up. He also caught Zapdos that run, which was interesting.
That is also something I would not have expected to hear.
And then it was an interesting one, but on to the race at hand. Vivec here is getting through the last of the Chandlers. We're gonna see kind of something that looks really unoptimal, but it is kind of better than you would think. They're going to be teaching Horn Drill right now. Basically, we got rock slide for those four Gaslies, and that's it. And now at this point, we want Horn Drill here soon, before 2 fights from now, basically. And we need to teach it for that fight to kind of save a turn, guaranteed, and make everything kind of work out better. So there's no better choice to really teach it other than now. And then we're going to, now that we got an item out, we're going to be able to scroll faster down to Pokédoll. And some runners actually opt to swap a move while they do that menu. Swap an item, I should say. So one thing you're going to see a lot during this run is every single time you're in your menu, you can swap items around, and you're going to be trying to do that whenever you have to scroll down. Mm-hmm. So let's say you use a lot of items in the run and they're at the bottom of your menu. Well, you need to go to the bottom of your menu to get your newly acquired items like Pokeflute, which we'll be getting here soon. You can effectively make it more efficient for you by, as you scroll down, swapping something you don't need very often to the bottom of your menu and swapping something you do need to the top. So you'll be seeing that a decent amount in this run.
And often stuff that you don't need at all to the bottom, because you get a lot of those early items like the TM34. I don't know if they sell that in red.
It can depend, but in races we generally try to sell them.
Yeah.
But a good example is the SS ticket as well. You're never going to need that, but it's going to be in our inventory.
So something coming up that we'll probably expect is that Vivec will not go for red bar for a while. There's some strats you can do to get red bar back after having the forced heal pad, and I'm imagining that Vivec will not go for any of that because he's just
definitely
got such of a lead here.
And we might not even see the famous boom strats from Vivec with this lead. It's gonna be interesting to see what's opted for. And GBF actually struggling to find the hidden elixir here. So
that's 2 runners now, because KonceptioN also had issues.
Vivec, yeah.
Vivec also had issues. So just heads up to everybody racing. If you count 12.5 or 13 bike steps, it's a great way to figure out where you are.
Or use an audio cue like the pleb I am and always be 1 tile early, or get it.
If you use an audio cue.
GBF actually doing something very strange here you don't really see in red. They're going to the top floor at the first. Red pretty historically has always gone up the floors and used the elevator at the end. So yeah. I've never seen shopping
and yellow
like this.
Even converted to doing that now. So this I would not do.
You wouldn't update your task to have this? Oh, is this Ice Beam routes? This is Ice Beam, isn't it? You still would do different shopping for Ice Beam, but this does make slightly more sense.
There's
Let's
a few
see
points of inquiry here. So the first thing is, why would you take the elevator first? But barring
it's not Ice Beam.
Barring that, why, if you're going to take the elevator first, you would want to do this shopping first as well, which was also not done. So now GBF buying XX,
and
hoping they're getting the right counts.
Yeah, I'm watching for that. So far they are 11, 2, and 5 is the bare minimum you want. Getting 12 is actually pretty good. We're not going to use all those X speeds or one of the X accuracies. They're actually kind of backups and meant for stalling just in case. But it is definitely one of those items you're going to need a bunch of. And right now, we're going to be in Vivec's side of the game here. We're going to be going to a section that most casual players don't go through until a lot later in the game. This is kind of opened up when you get a fresh water, and you were kind of under-leveled now. This is the first time in the entire run we're under-leveled, really. And we're going to be fighting a couple trainers and getting some good items now, because of how good Hornjil is. With Hornjil being just so good, we are going to be able to really optimize some of the fights and get through some really hard fights, even though we're lower level.
Yeah, and the way the routing works out for this, you would really want to get the speed badge boost from Koga as soon as you possibly can. And it just turns out that you're so low, you're so under-leveled at this point in the game that you can't really get it. Oh, a glare missing on Vivec.
That's so good.
That's important. So you want to get Koga's badge boost as soon as possible, get the extra speed. But you're so under-leveled in this game that you can't really beat all of Koga's Pokemon in one hit and safely until you get some more experience under your belt for your Nidoking. So in the RTA routes, you go to the Self first, where you can do X accuracy and drill strats and get rushed through everything, get Earthquake, and then you're much better equipped in terms of the amount of damage you can do to Koga's Pokemon.
And one interesting thing about Pokemon Red is you can actually, if you wanted to, you could opt in to try to get Earthquake early. It's just on the 10th floor. There's one trainer blocking your way. And if you wanted, you could get Earthquake, and then that Arbok is a one-shot. But in Pokemon Red, it's actually significantly slower to try to do that first. So you'll be noticing from the routing, we're going to be avoiding that. And then after we fight Giovanni, we're going to go pick it up, because then that rocket that's blocking the TM is actually gone.
Yep. So what we're seeing Vivec do here is we saw him fight Arbok and then immediately fight the rival, so that we'll rearrange this whole order of Self and not have a trainer in front of the Earthquake TM and the Rare Candy.
And we haven't really talked about it because there's been so much to talk about. But Vivec here is using Hornjil, and let's just kind of cover how Hornjil works in Gen 1. So Hornjil, it's so broken. So Hornjil is 30% accurate, and it will one-hit KO the Pokemon if you're faster. It's not based off of level in Gen 1, which actually helps us out quite a bit here. Because right now we're lower level and we're killing a Venusaur. But let's also talk about something else that is different with Gen 1 and 2. X accuracies in Gen 1 and 2 completely remove accuracy checks. They don't just boost you by a stage. That's why they're so expensive. So a move like Hornjil is completely busted because of this change, since you can just buy X accuracies, make Hornjil 100%, and then as long as you're faster, you can just outspeed everything in your way. And then you can just clear so many fights with Pokemon. Really, Hornjil is still not effective against ghost types, so that is one of the bottlenecks we have. Fortunately, most of the ghosts we fight are also poison, so that'll come into effect later in the run.
This is a really interesting one from Vivec here, where you have to X accuracy, and then you use Bubble Beam to conserve your drill power points, which I just recently learned was called power points and not Pokemon power.
Oh, is this in reference to the PSR marathon?
Yes.
Power points.
I was commentating the Red Race with Jim B, and I didn't know it was power points.
It is power points, my friend. Yeah, and using the X accuracy there, one thing you can do, depending on your HP, if you need to kind of set up HP, Vivec didn't do it here because he's so far ahead he doesn't need to, but you can actually choose to wait to Elixir or Ether, whichever you choose to do here, until you're in that fight to try to take more damage. Since Vivec's so far ahead, he opted not to. And you want to take a decent amount of damage going into this split normally, because we're going to be trying to set up a strat that's going to save a ton of time called boom strats, and that's going to happen on Koga. So right now we are kind of getting through Silphco here, and like I said before, now the runner is going to try to go up to the 10th floor to get both the Earthquake TM and then a rare candy. And one interesting thing about the run is stat experience is basically EVs in this game. They work completely differently, but depending on what Pokemon you fight, your stats get stronger. And this game is so tight in stat experience. If your Nidoking faints and you try to make up that experience elsewhere, the basic default is to always get a Carbos here and use it right away. Because if you don't, Sabrina's Alakazam will actually outspeed you. Oh, he went up to the 11th floor by mistake, so he's
no big deal though. It's actually pretty quick to change floors if you miss it on the elevator. You just kind of go down here and you lose like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's not that big at all. So...
I think it's actually worth YOLOing.
Oh, it definitely is. In red especially, YOLO scrolling in yellow is really hard to buffer. In red, it's completely free. So now that we are on the 10th floor, we're going to dig out of the entire building. And you'll see a kind of cool graphical glitch for the trainer. When you dig out, at the very end, it'll turn to A, B, C, D. It's debugging sprite in the game that is was a placeholder for the trainer, and it'll often appear when you dig out. So we're going into the Snorlax fight here, and like any good sleepy thing, it gets very angry when you abruptly wake it up, even to that peaceful music.
Yes. It also gets very angry when you kill it, but we don't need the experience, so we just run away from it.
How long would killing that Snorlax take, do you think, Ti?
I've looked into routing it before, and it's like 10 to 15. It takes a lot longer because of the amount of HP Snorlax have, right? So it's like a 10-second kill instead of the usual like 6 or 7.
Spoiler: item management is hard. I think Vivec accidentally. Yep, the PP. So what happens is, I imagine there is a revive in this menu, and if you don't, either there's a revive and they forgot to sell something, or they forgot to sell Pokeballs.
But it wasn't too big of a deal because Vivec did know B while falling down the mountain. Cycling road is actually on a slope, so if you don't hold B, you continually fall down. So Vivec cleverly held B after clearing that text box, and then opened the menu with start and continued holding B after closing it again later with start. So he was able to pick up the PP up without having issues with falling down the mountain.
So we're coming into a kind of cool section of the run here, because we're going to be teaching Earthquake, which is really good, but then we're also going to be using the PP up that we just got on Horn Drill. PP up will add one more use to Horn Drill since it's a low use move, and one doesn't sound like a lot, but in this game where you're trying to manage your HP and be as low as possible, that's very important. Having one more use of such a powerful move is going to buy you basically one full PP restoring item. And in a game where you can't really get any more elixirs than these runners are already picking up, and we need all the items in our bag, you're going to really value something like a PP up.
Mm-hmm. One point I love about Pokemon Red and Yellow, when you do that menu for, or the dialogue with the guy in the gatehouse, keeping you out of the Safari Zone, you always walk up into his vision. You don't like walk closer to him and then talk to him, because if you walk straight up, then he brings you to him and cancels the turn frame you would usually get from turning the first time inside of a building.
that's kind of just how optimal these games are in like what people have realized. So something like saving a turn frame sounds like, oh, what's the point? It's not going to make the difference. Well, it's not going to really make the difference, but when it's free, you might as well go for it. So walk straight up instead of walking over and turning. It just, those tiny things can add up, and it's completely free.
Yeah, it's really the tiny things adding up. Like we just, to Mr. Fuji from the side in the tower, which I think you wouldn't want to do because you want to buffer talking to him from below. So there's all sorts of things like that. You add them all up, and you just several minutes and minutes.
Well, you can't talk to him from below. You only have one. So talking him to the left is fine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's the tables there.
Oh, not the one after you leave. The one in the tower.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Never mind. I know exactly what you're talking about. In the tower, you buffer him, but in the house, you don't have room. We're on the same page, TIK.
So just all that little movement tech adding up over the course of a run.
So Earthquake is pretty broken. I think in competitive Pokemon it is still widely used. So in Generation 1, it is still very good, especially when you have an Earth-type Pokemon. So we're going to be able to one-shot almost every single Pokemon we find with Earthquake for a little bit here. And especially in a Poison-type gym, that's very helpful.
Turns out 100 power, 100 accuracy is pretty broken.
Yeah, and throw Stab on top of that. We're happy campers as Pokemon speedrunners.
150 effective base power.
Yeah, Earthquake is so good that in like every consecutive game, Earthquake is an end game TM instead of a mid game TM like it is in this one. I'm glad they haven't nerfed it though.
Mm-hmm. I will also take time to mention that in Yellow, you are 2 levels higher on the last Juggler fight, so you can thrash the Drowsies. But at level 38, you do not have the ability to do that. Yellow has a little bit more experience through this point in the game.
Yeah, and that is actually, just to shout out the man talking right now, is totally routed by T.I. Kevin here. He has found that strat and has really done a lot. Oh, no! Vivec going for technically the safe strat by going for the paralyze, or like one strat you can do, but he actually crit. If he would have earthquaked, it would have gone through.
Oh,
no.
Interesting strategy there. Yeah, I don't know if that's really safer. Too much?
He might just want his HP a little bit lower for boom strats. Maybe that's what he was going for, but...
Oh, that also would make sense, yeah.
And if that's what he was going for, 200 IQ, because he would have killed it.
263 IQ.
Exactly. So going into this here, you're going to be seeing a really interesting strat. So the first 3 Pokemon, we're just going to Earthquake, and the final Pokemon would also die from Earthquake, but we're not going to be seeing that. Wow, saving for Self-Rival. That is something I would not really recommend doing in a race. Self-Rival is very safe.
Mm-hmm.
So in here, Vivec is going to be using an elixir, and there we go, self-destruct.
So, yeah, perfect timing with that elixir.
Yeah, so Vivec, his Weezing's going down here, but technically you defeated Koga. He has no more Pokemon left. And the attacking move will always be self-destruct there. So this is kind of the strat. You try to get low HP so you die, and the whole reason you're going to is the next section of the run is very kind of safe to be in low HP. There's like 1 or 2 problem fights really, and here we're going to be using an odd mechanic in older games. So we're going to go to the rare candies here in a moment. We're just watching some menuing leading up to this, but then we are going to rare candy Nidoking 3 times, and rare candying in older games will actually revive the Pokemon. So now Nidoking is we just leveled up on the final Pokemon in Koga, so we get 3 full level ups, and now we're at low HP. And if everything goes right, we're gonna keep this low HP all the way through the first Elite Four trainer. So now we're getting our final HM of the game, and we're gonna fly home. We're not gonna talk to Mom. She's gonna wreck our red bar setup. And we are going to basically go and get another TM that's going to be very helpful for us and complete kind of one of the last story sections of the run that doesn't involve fighting the gym leaders. Pokemon Red and Pokemon Yellow kind of turn into this basically boss rush section where after you complete everything, you fight gym after gym after gym. So we're getting into the part where Vivec is just going to go from one gym leader, kill them to the next. Also, Vivec going for an interesting repel setup. This is definitely an old repel strategy. You can use a super repel at the bottom of that water, and it will get you exactly to Blizzard. So any route that uses Blizzard, that is basically the most optimal way of doing it.
I remember figuring that out with the Xarian one day. That was a fun day. So you get all the way to Blizzard, exactly.
GBF trying to get better red bar and doesn't really know what to do. Oh, he hits a horn drill! He hits a 30% horn drill!
The yellow drill.
Wait, no, I think he X accuracy. Darn. I thought he yellow drilled for a moment. So he's trying to take some damage, but unfortunately, he didn't get it. So he decided to cut his losses and not go for the damage. In his position, I definitely would just vote for going through it. Yes, dying to the self-destruct is really good, but if it's not cooperating, it's better to just get through it and not die later on. Also, if you take too much damage, you actually have to heal for one of the fights, which is going to be even worse. Vivec is not picking up a single rare candy, which is one of the strats you can do. Your menus would be a little bit different, and you wouldn't have rare candied as much as you did before coming here. But one strategy and the optimal strategy for world records now is you actually pick up 2 rare candies in Mansion, and then you rare candy once more before Agatha. It all kind of works out the same, but it's a different strategy, and it's kind of you're pushing your risk a little bit earlier in the run to have a better final champ and a better Agatha. But right now, we're finally going to go fight Erica. Erica has been one of those gym leaders we've been avoiding for a long time because we didn't really have a good attacking move. But now that we have Blizzard, it works out well.
Yeah, the execute and on all of Erica's Pokemon don't really get affected very heavily by anything you have until getting Blizzard. So, that ice move, killing it.
Funny enough, this is the fight I was talking about that can kill you. You would think that it'd be Blaine or Sabrina, but if you do everything right, those fights are free. This is the one we can die to, the really low-level trainer, because we're depending on... You can try to get... Okay, Quay's just giving some advice. Anyways, so... The first Pokemon we're going to Earthquake here because it dies, but then we are going to, the second one here, the Tangela, the Wiggly-Woo, we're going to try to Blizzard. And this is one of the death points in the run. If you miss Blizzard here, it's 90% accurate. You're going to probably consistently die to something, unless it wraps, which it knows, and then you can try to heal off of it.
Ah.
But I think it knows Mega Drain or something like that, which will always kill.
Onto Sabrina, I believe? Or do we need to do Blaine still?
Well, we're going to do Blaine and then Sabrina. Sabrina is the last Pokemon they're going to fight. The last trainer they're going to... Wow, last gym leader they're going to fight. Because we need the exact speed... exact speed, stat experience, level, everything going into that fight. So... we're gonna go to Blaine here, and this is one of the rare sections where Pokemon Yellow is faster, because
This freaking text that explains how to do the questions every single time.
Yeah, so the first time you come up to this, it's going to explain to you like, oh, this is a quiz show, basically. And then you go to the second one, and it's going to explain it's a quiz show. And after about, there is 6 of these, you finally get really sick of them. Ooh, GBF.
Side rare candy.
Yeah, they almost hit the trainer there. They almost fell right through. But they got the rare candy without hitting an optional. So now, let's hope we can get over and grab it. I don't think they know B down. Yeah, they definitely don't know hold B.
We'll have to tell GBF to do a little bit of...
Oh, they also go over to the right. They don't know that trainer's vision's short. You can just hold down.
Yeah, once you got the PP up, that could also just be some movement slip-ups here, because you can see the extra. GBF just looks like they got a lot of movement to clean up in general in the whole game.
Movement and general menus and fights, actually, for when you're kind of first starting Pokemon speedrunning, I feel is where most runners can save the time. Do you agree with that, TI?
Yes. 100% agree.
Oh, that scared me. I thought for sure that was almost going to be a PP up on Thrash.
Yeah, that was close. Now, will Earthquake go on the right move? I hope so.
I've never seen Horn Drill in slot 3. I wonder if they're going to be swapping at some point.
I would hope.
This movement set, this move ordering is very odd. So the reason why we don't really care about being low HP for this fight, you didn't get a good chance to see it here, but Blaine has a chance to Super Potion, which means you take no damage, but F Growlithe would attack and not Super Potion. It knows moves that would be able to kill Nidoking, but it knows Agility, which is a Psychic-type move. And since Blaine has good AI, the AI says, Psychic is super effective against this Pokemon, I should use it. And it will spam that move forever. So we're able to set up for that fight first turn, and then we are fast enough, we have next accuracy, so we can just kill the rest of the Pokemon. Hello, Bodie boy. Yeah, the Tombstoner question. The funny thing about the Tombstoner question is they actually changed it in both Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Pokemon Let's Go to Tombstone E instead of Tombstoner. GBF accidentally forgetting the Super Repel and getting an encounter in Safari Zone.
And those encounters are at a very high rate.
It's kind of like they expect trainers to come in here to catch Pokemon for some reason.
It's almost
super weird.
It's the place where you're supposed to ring.
So Sabrina would generally be very scary at this point. Like if you weren't following a speedrunning route and you wanted to only use Nidoking, this gym leader would probably be very scary and be very strong because Psychic is good against Poison type and we're just very weak to it. Luckily for us though, all of her Pokemon have very low defense stat. So this Earthquake is going to one-shot all the Pokemon. And that level up there is super important. That's what gets us the final speed to be able to outspeed this Alakazam. So Vivec now getting through Sabrina here is going to be able to dig out. But one cool thing is going to happen first. We are going to go over to the teleportation pad.
Yes.
And do you know who found this?
No,
Travis?
this is so old. I don't think anybody who found that one.
But anyways, the teleportation animation will play if you dig out on a teleportation pad, and that animation is so much faster. It's actually worth walking to the teleportation pad, teleporting, and then using dig. Vivec is now entering the final gym, and this trainer is nothing really to talk about, but the next trainer is one of those that is very hard to kind of deal with because like I said, we want to keep this red bar for so long. It's fine to have red bar for all of Giovanni, the rival up until Lorelei. So that's 3 fights we want red bar. But this next trainer, this Machoke trainer, is the choke point.
The Machoke point?
The Machoke point! So we're gonna see Vivec save here. And because we need to use 1 X accuracy in this next fight, and we're gonna give Machoke a free turn. It's either gonna karate chop, which I think, and I have a question here, Ti. Is Machoke 100% basically to crit with karate chop?
Machoke? Let me look that up a second. I can figure. Oh,
it crit here. So this is why we save. So karate chop has an 8 times multiplier to the crit rate. So it's a decent chance to crit you. But it also knows focus energy. So we're hoping for focus energy here. Low kick, I think it also has, but that generally won't kill. So we're just hoping not to die to get through this 1 turn. And then we get to keep red bar for all of it. So in PB attempts, in world record attempts, you don't save here, and you just hope it goes well.
Yeah, Machoke's karate chop is 68% or 69% to crit.
If it was any higher, I wonder what the threshold would be before runners would opt for a different strategy, right? 68% is pretty high, but what if it was 92%? Would this still be the strategy? Because karate chop non-crit won't kill, but karate chop crit will.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But it has other moves too, right? So you're
low kick and focus energy, I think. Low kick won't kill. We're using 1 of our last elixirs, so we have 2 more PP items for this run. There should be an ether and an elixir in Vivec's bag still. And this is going to be a very easy gym battle for him. So, fortunate for us, ground type is weak to ground type. So, we're pretty strong. We're pretty fast. We have Earthquake. We win. So, every single Pokemon except the final one here, we're going to Earthquake. And the reason why we're not going to Earthquake the final one is because they're going to send out a Rhydon. And Rhydon also knows that Earth is strong against Earth, or ground is strong against ground, I should say. So, it knows Fissure, which is a ground type move, and that's the only ground type move it knows. So it spams it, but the weird thing about that move is it's Fissure. It's a 1-hit KO move, and we're faster than it. So even if you miss the range here to kill it, or you miss Blizzard, it actually can't kill you. You'll see it here. Fissure.
Yep.
Unaffected. So you can just Blizzard again.
And Earthquake can't kill Rhydon, right? It has to way too much defense.
I think it does roughly the same amount of Blizzard, and it might be close, but yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. I'm pretty sure Blizzard... If Earthquake does kill, Blizzard is probably more likely. So we're leaving here, and we're going to see a Super Repel, and then getting on the bike. And one cool thing about this game that we haven't been mentioning too much is you can actually buffer things in this game pretty consistently. So in Pokemon Red, you can buffer 2 slots up to. So even if your Repel was in slot 3, you could buffer both up and A and automatically get on your bike after the Repel was used. So you saw Vivec use a Super Repel there and then immediately get on the bike. And then once again, we're in a fight where good AI is the problem. Pidgeotto uses agility, and that's super effective, so we get all the time in the world to set up on it. And let's say we wanted to try to make this fight last as long as possible. One interesting thing about Gen 1 is the opponent's Pokemon have infinite PP. They will never struggle on you. So you can literally sit here forever, and agility will keep being spammed.
That is quite useful. Yeah, it's weird because a lot of the trainers did this thing where they will save their best Pokemon for last, and really that just ruins the whole run for them, because if you use your best Pokemon last, then your good AI makes your worst Pokemon do nothing to the opponents.
It's very interesting how everything kind of works out how it does, because like if they led Venusaur there, that fight would be completely different. And we would probably find optimal strats for that as well. But Pokemon Red especially, I feel, is just like this weird mixture of everything coming together to be so fast and work so well together.
Mhm.
Pokemon Red is one of those games that is very optimal, and yet runners still find optimization. So yeah, Kevin, would you be more surprised if a big route change happened in Pokemon Yellow or Pokemon Red? Which one would surprise you more?
For an optimization to be found?
Yeah, let's say something as big as Blizzard over Ice Beam was found today. Which one would surprise you more?
Yellow would surprise me more because there's more complication. Like there's just more things and variables in play. So like the way that the early game works right now would definitely be changed further.
GBF unfortunately taking a couple missteps in the mansion here and getting an encounter right in front of Blizzard.
Ouch.
I don't think we mentioned it too much when Vivec got to it, but Blizzard's the final TM we teach, so you're going to end with Earthquake, Thunderbolt, Horn Drill, and Blizzard. And since in Gen 1, the special split wasn't a thing yet, it's pretty optimal for you to have such a good move like Blizzard, because Nidoking actually has a pretty high special stat. So going into the E4 where you have Dragon-type Pokemon and things like that, Blizzard's going to really come in handy.
Mm-hmm.
Vivec opting not to use any swag boulders, which I like. I'm not a big fan of swag boulders, if I'm going to be honest.
Interesting.
And a lot of runners don't do it on floor 1, because depending on where you're repelling, if you're doing the optimal repel strats, you can kind of burn too many turn frames and make your repel run out faster.
That is not ideal.
No, it's definitely not. But if we're going to be seeing any swag boulders, it's going to be in the final room where you have more than enough turn frames. Even if you swag boulder every chance you get, you'll have a lot more repels to use. Pointless boulders. Hello, Sinstar. Welcome. I saw you before, but hello. Why you couldn't hear me before? We definitely have some pointless boulders here.
If I understand correctly, the optimal thing to do there in RTA would actually be to go up one tile from the ladder and then be able to buffer the start open to use strength. And then afterwards, because you used a menu, if you went left up, you wouldn't get a turn frame.
I believe so as well. And the interesting thing here is that Vivec actually did some swag boulders as well. Yeah, when you menu before turning, when you enter a new room or the area is reloaded, like after a fight, for example, you'll get a turn frame on your first turn. What eats it actually is menuing, so you won't get another turn frame. And how long is that? That's 4 frames?
It's 2 frames. Every quote-unquote turn frame is actually 2 frames, because all of the movement in the overworld happens in like a 2-frame loop.
So, you saw the cost of swag bouldering on floor 2, actually. Vivec did not take an extra step, but his repel ran out before he fell through the hole. That's because these turn frames will affect when your repel runs out. So there's that swag boulder we're talking about. You basically can buffer the turn, because those particle effects actually are based off of where the trainer is, not where the boulder is. So if you're able to quick turn in the little window you have, it'll kind of turn with you.
You know what I call that, pseudo trainer?
What?
Spaghetti.
That is definitely some good spaghetti. So I don't think we've seen revive from Vivec, so there's No reason for him to bring his normal companions with him, so he's going to be depositing 2 of them. Since we still want to kind of be lower-ish HP, he's gonna save 1 of them and then go into Lorelei here. Lorelei is an interesting fight because basically how the AI is written is it literally says if turn 2, use rest. So if you know that, you can kind of use some cheese strats in order to get through this fight very optimally. So we're faster than all the Pokemon, so we're going to quick swap out, and the AI will always kill here because we have a bird. The AI in this game cheats. So it knows that a bird type is coming out, and it has an ice move, so it will always Aurora Beam to kill there. If the AI didn't cheat, this strat wouldn't work as well because Dewgong has a chance to rest on turn 1 actually. So that's why we need the bird specifically and not like Squirtle. If you brought Squirtle, that kill would not be guaranteed.
Yeah. You could send the flyer out first if you wanted to cheat, but then you still need to rely on rest happening on turn 2 very often. Or I think always actually in red, right?
Yep, it will always rest on turn 2.
In yellow, it's not guaranteed to rest on
It's like
turn
80%. I don't quite know how that even happened, but it's like 80%-ish to rest turn 2 in yellow.
Yep.
So we're through Lorelei, and we're on a really good pace run here from Vivec. When we get closer, pull up the standings, and we'll kind of see where we're at. And we also have another race going on. So it's going to be really interesting to kind of see where all these 3 races happening tonight, how it's going to shake up the standings. So we're going into Bruno here, and Bruno is going to be a lot of the same, except we don't have a move that Onyx is going to use that's efficient for us. So we're going to X accuracy and just hope that you don't get Slam crit. Slam won't kill us. We're plenty bulky, and Onyx isn't the best attacker in the world. So Slam won't kill us. Slam crit will, but we get that 1 turn we need. We're able to Horn Drill. Now, the big bottleneck for red speedruns is actually Agatha. Agatha is one of the scarier fights in E4. Lance is basically 1 turn of scare, and then Final Rival's like 2 turns. That can be a little rough. And Agatha's like 3 or 4 or more, depending on how the fight goes. So Agatha is definitely probably the worst parts of E4 in this game, which is very different from Pokemon Yellow. The special edition game of this, basically all of E4 is scary in Yellow. Oh no, Vivec talked to Bruno twice. Bruno has the shortest text out of all the E4. He'll only say 2 text boxes to you after you talk to him. He's the strong and silent type.
So another thing that you can do, and I don't think if you menu immediately after defeating a trainer, before moving to the next room, then it changes the timing of when the doors open into the next room, and it makes it a little bit easier to get there. So that menu that was done before Agatha really should have been done after Bruno, before moving into the next room.
Because it's faster that way, that if you do it while the door is loading, if I understand you correctly, right?
Yeah. There's some weirdness with like the doors open as the menu.
So, Vivec getting a really good Agatha. If this is a PvP-paced run and he remained low HP, this would be pretty good. The sad thing is generally you heal so you can take 1 turn of damage, even in PvP-paced runs. So, there's 1 more Pokemon that can damage you. It's going to be the final Gengar. It's one of the Pokemon that can outspeed you. I don't know why Gengar is such a fast Pokemon, but it's definitely kind of scary. Oh no, we didn't
Dream Eater.
But this is kind of very nice for races. Generally, you want to be really high health going into Lance. So all he has to do in this next menu is use Ether on Hornjill and save, and he's going to have a safe. Sorry about that.
No worries, I can continue. So yeah, he's gonna have a really safe time here against Hydro Pump from Mr. Gyarados. However, Gyarados will still have the chance to critical hit, and that cannot be avoided. So there is the save that's happening here before moving up to Lance.
All right, I am back. So we're heading into Lance now. And this is the only turn that's scary. Gyarados is going to use Hydro Pump, and that is 80% accurate. And I forget Gyarados' crit rate, but I think it's like 16.5%.
It's very high. It's a high number. I think it's more than that.
I know it's under 20% though, but it has a decent chance to crit you. And if it crits you, you're dead. But if you don't, normally you want to be not full HP, a little bit under, so that when Hydro Pump hits you, you're in red bar for the rest of this fight. But
oh, you're right. Yeah, it's 15.6% to crit you.
Yeah, but that's still really high. Gyarados is a fast boy. Because of the same AI we've been talking about forever, a lot of Lance's Pokemon know Psychic type moves, either Agility or Barrier. So we get free turns on all those Pokemon. They can't damage us at all. So we're going to use Blizzard on this final Dragonite, which in yellow is very scary, but in red it's completely free. If you miss, it will Barrier every single time. So we're heading into the final fight here, and Vivec is on a good pace run. I don't know that stuff super well yet, timing it off of just where you are, but I'm pretty sure it's looking at least 157, if not lower. So Vivec here saving. He has a decent enough HP that he can tank a wing attack, and I think a wing attack crit. And if he gets Sky Attack, that's a 2-turn move, so he's able to heal after that happens. So one interesting caveat to the final rival fight is animations are turned on. I guess it's to make it more epic or what have you, but it's definitely a time loss. So
wing attack.
Wing attack
Does not crit.
Good. This is our last X item. If it doesn't crit, we're good.
Your move fails.
And because we use the PP up, we have 6 Hornjills going into this fight. We're faster than all the Pokemon, so that's GG. As long as Vivec doesn't move the cursor at all, he wins this one. GG, everybody.
And with a respectable race time.
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited to kind of see the time. I wish I was better at judging this sort of thing, but yeah, it's a very good time going into this. Vivec showing up as a runner that's been around a decent while, and he's really showing that he has really good red knowledge and execution. I don't know timings at all either, Gym Freak. And then this is the final Pokemon. Yeah, it's looking a 1-5. Because it's a little over a minute. It's like a minute, like 20 something. For the Hall of Fame split. So
yeah, this could be a 154.
Could be. It's either a low 155 or 154. We'll have to see here.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer than I'm used to in yellow because the green.
Yeah, and it's one of the things you have to keep in mind too is if the runner brought the companions into E4, because that's a good strat if you have a revive, and if you do, your Hall of Fame is pretty slow.
Yeah, he brought 1 companion. He deposited 2 of the 4.
Yeah, he is the standard. He does not have the Squirtle or the Paris. Yeah, it's a 154. It looks like. So definitely a 154. So shout outs to Vivec giving a really good showing of the run. I'm really excited for all this tournament and Guy being in the Hall of Fame. Look at that smug sparrow. That's a Guy if I ever saw him. And then Oak is going to tell us the final time we may be the champion, but we suck at Pokemon. And that is going to be time.
We gotta look for more Pokemon in grassy areas next. I don't think we did a very good job.
So 1:54:47 is the wonderful race time shown by Vivec, which is really good, and I'm super happy with how that run went for him. We're gonna let the music of the Hall of Fame play, and then when the end shows up, just a moment after, we're gonna switch the audio to GBF here as he finishes out his run. So just like a quick explanation, I know a lot of people already know this, but the way that the tournament is set up is the 16 winners move on, and then we're going to have 16 of the best times outside of the winners also move on. So GBF is not out of the running for the tournament. He still has a chance to move on. As we play more of the matches and we get more of the standings, that number is going to shift, and it's going to kind of tell more about who is like on a better pace to get in and who's not. But anything can really happen with yellow. There's still a decent amount of tournament runs to go, and we have 2 going basically right now alongside this one. Oh, so let's try to get Vivec in here for an interview. All right, I'm going to switch the audio over to Vivec. Sorry, GBF. So let me try to message our winner, and we'll get him in here. GBF is now in Victory Road, and we're off to the races, and let's see if we get any swag boulders. There's one right on. Like I said, though, that's one of the ones that if you do it too much, your repel's going to run out a little bit sooner. So there's also some minor missteps in there. Hello. Congratulations, Vivec.
Hi. Yeah, thanks.
How are you feeling after that run? A 1:54:47. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It was like a mediocre run. I didn't take any stupid risks. Early game was bad, like very bad, but that's okay. I don't know what happened to Conception. I know he was ahead of me for some time, and then he fell off, like at boat rival or something.
Yeah. So, you were you comparing or watching any of the other runners during your run?
I was in the beginning, but then the stream was reset for once, and I couldn't get it up again. So I just did chat to tell me a bit what was going on, but
that makes a lot of sense. So to kind of update you, Conception was doing the Paris Manip from the Baby Moon Manip, and chose not to YOLO Ball, and missed 4 or 5 consecutive Pokeballs at low health. So he had to redo the minute, which put him quite a chunk far behind. And then at Boat Rival, chose to risk a turn on the Bulbasaur and wound up dying on Boat Rival and chose to forfeit after.
Oh, that's bad. Damn.
Yeah. And then so I have a couple questions for you during the run. So especially if you didn't know exactly the standing of everyone, you still chose to nickname some of your companions through the run, your
Yeah.
Pokemon. I liked it. I'm impressed. But to give you a little bit more information, GBF one-upped you there and actually nicknamed the Nidoran Araya.
Yeah, I read that in chat. I think we talked about it beforehand in our scheduling, that we would like to nickname some stuff for a bit of memeing. But I said I would only do it for Flyer and Paris.
Yeah, that's totally appropriate.
As those are the only ones that will not affect Minips. Squirtle will affect the Nidoran Minip, and so will the Nidoran, obviously, along with being used.
Yes, Squirtle is usually fine, because if it's not like a very long name, you can still YOLO ball, but yeah, it's a lot tighter than the window.
So GBF is now heading into 4, and then Vivec, I would also like to ask you, so at the start of the run, you seem to be getting quite a bit of bad luck with encounters and just not a very good start. I believe your rival was also the slowest of the 3. Was that putting you on edge or worrying you at all during the run at the start, or did you just focus on your run and try to play well and not let the early RNG get to you?
Like, I was generally super nervous in the beginning. I think I messed up Nidoran YOLO ball at least once. And yeah, encounters didn't help, but after that I just tried to focus to get through it. Like, get at least a decent time in, and I think I managed.
I would agree that you managed a decent time.
Yeah, I'm looking at the standings, and you currently have the 4th best time in the entire tournament. So you beat Legend Eater and took his spot just by about 10 seconds or so.
That's a lot better than I expected, to be honest. But I think there's a lot of big names to do their races. I think Tepic is on right now, and Pokeguy has to run as well, right? So.
Yep, and I think Wasop or Gunner also haven't run, along with Quay and a few others. Gym Freak hasn't run yet either, has he? No, he hasn't. So there's a lot of experienced runners across multiple Pokemon games who still has to do their tournament run. Lonley is also running right now. So Pot 1 obviously has a lot of good runners out there. So it's going to be interesting to see how the standings all shake out after everyone's completed their runs. Because winning will advance you, but your time will also impact what you are seeded for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah. WSUP was hoping for a bad time, I think, for me.
So I have one more kind of question on the run. So after you saw the forfeit, did you choose to play any safer, or did you change your strategy from that point on? Because going into that, you were only a little bit ahead of Conception, but then the death happened. Did you choose to play Rock Tunnel safer than you would normally, or how did your strategy?
Yeah, I opted to not go for any kind of red bar besides the obvious one from Koga. And I don't think I consciously changed anything about how I went about the run.
Because I think going into Fly Split, you had perfect Slowpoke HP as well for Red Bar, and Slowpoke is what, about 2% to crit you? So it's generally really safe, but I really like the play of just not risking anything and
Yeah, it's
going.
I don't
for it.
think it's worth it in the first round. So
Yeah,
I even
agree.
saved for Bruno, which is around 2% as well. So no, not taking those risks.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. It seems like a really solid way to play out the. Will the times from the first round change seeding for the second round?
Yes. Every single round thereafter, your times will be seeded, and the same thing will happen. We'll get pots of 1, 2, and 3. So your better time means that you're more likely to go against someone who got a lesser time. So there's always an incentive to do well and get a better time. So your seeding is better.
So there's some interesting metagaming you could do there, perhaps considering still going for certain red bars, saving less. If you think you're going to help your overall seeding for second round.
It's definitely interesting, and it's just like Pokemon. Like, oh, how much can you really plan around that? But there's definitely could be some really cool strategies around that. And then I guess one of my final questions is when you died to the Machoke trainer, correct? Did you? What you chose not to go for the revive strats in your route, I believe. Is that something that you would look at considering for future runs, or do you just prefer to not run revive? Because I know plenty of the runners in this tournament are kind of using that route.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to get familiar with it and the item management involved in the practice races we are doing, but I was sticking to the route I was the most familiar with this time, and I think it's still optimal to just save for the Karate King, because losing red bar there is bad.
Oh, definitely. And then is there anything you are going to look at improving now that you've won and you're guaranteed a slot in round 2?
I'll have to work on my manips again, I guess, and I have to do a lot of menu practice. That was very sloppy. So I think that's the most time save for me, is with the menuing.
Great. Is there any other comments you would kind of like to make about your run, or anything in particular?
Thank your mom for all the support.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I don't think I have anything specific in mind right now. Yeah. I want to say thank you to the 2 people who are racing against me, and very sorry that KonceptioN2 dropped out early. This tournament is a great experience overall, and I hope it can go over better than the 2017 one.
Did Blizzard just miss?
I think so. I think I saw a Blizzard miss on Dragonair.
Huh. Okay. And then one thing I kind of want to shout out here as we're kind of wrapping up is that there are 2 more races going on right now on different SpeedGaming pages. I don't know. There was one that was going to start around 7 o'clock on this page. I don't know if it got a new home. I could try to find out.
It's on 2 now, I believe.
Yep, so SpeedGaming 1 and 2 both have tourney races this second.
And GBF is going into the final section here. Unfortunately, stopped his timer, but that will not impact anything. The time will just be adjusted because things like that always tend to happen in these gigantic tournaments. Oh, he forgot to elixir. Let's see if he knows the best backup for this. Oh, he's full health. He's fine. Was that a wing attack? That's interesting. So
whatever it is, it's probably not too big of a deal from 105.
Yeah.
You fail.
And then here you need to. Oh no! Oh no!
I don't know why he didn't elixir already. but it's fine. Just keep
this
playing.
This is definitely where you need to elixir. Let's see if the backup is known here. So you can earthquake this Alakazam, and you should be able to.
God.
Oh
God.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh God.
I believe that's a death.
From full.
Oh!
Well,
Next
that's
level-
something I've never seen before.
Next level red
The
bar.
red bar! He got red bar! It's a red bar manip.
Outplaying us to the very end.
Outplaying the commentators. That was psychic.
No, that was psychic.
8,000 IQ.
I had no idea you could live a psychic. I'm like, I would have put money on that dying. I don't know if that's a range or what, but
Oh.
wow.
Okay, so not to give too much credit here, I don't think that was intended from GBF Zeta, but the
Probably
outcome was just perfect.
It's great. The interesting backup strategy, if for some reason you never forget that, is Earthquake will kill Alakazam, and then the next Pokemon, I forget who's next, but will not be able to really damage you too much. So that is the Pokemon that you would try to set up on.
Oh, not a real PB? Ouch. Must have a non-leaderboard PB.
Yeah, must. I was just going off of the
GBF, keep matching! Don't stop mashing!
timing isn't until the white screen.
Oh, offline.
Last night offline. Wowie.
Don't stop matching, GBF! I keep seeing the cursor pause.
So, Araya finally made it into the Hall of Fame.
Writing
And
in
there's
chat.
what's up.
Watch this 212 exclusively because of writing in chat before the race was over.
Well, I would like to also say that if he would have not had the other two companions,
oh yes,
maybe
and
also
yeah,
would have been a
that
212.
should have been a 209 at least.
Yeah. All right, and
We
final time is
slide.
coming up here,
Or we don't win.
and that's time.
Hey!
I'm curious how he did undo, because there's two ways you can do it. One will correct your time as if your timer never stopped, and one where the timer did stop. So this is kind of important for like seating and what have you afterwards. So if he might have a 2:12:17, we'll assume so, but it could be a little bit higher depending on how he undid his timer. All right, we're gonna get GBF here. As the wonderful Hall of Fame music plays and the credits roll out. Oh, I should have that done.
Pseudo, if you have a way to pull in Conception, if they're still around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, what's going on, guys?
Hello. GBF.
How's it going, GBF?
Not bad. How are you?
Good, good. Congrats on your finish in 2:12:17. I have a couple things I want to kind of talk to you about the run and get your feedback. So over the course of the run, you chose to nickname your Nidoking. So my question is,
You're just kind of like we're kind of dumbfounded there.
my question is, why name that?
Oh, why name them all? Just having fun, man. Like it's a great like. I asked the guys beforehand if they wanted to, and then I asked my friends if they wanted like to be named in the game. And well, like most things in my life, I got ghosted on that, so I just decided to like just pick random people, just that I know are really good speedrunners, and just because like I watch a lot of runs just to try and get a little bit better. And surprisingly enough, last night that 159 was my first run I finished since May.
Ah, gotcha.
Was
So-
May I believe it was like 218 or something like that?
May I got it down to 205. 218 was the first time I ever actually did the run, and then I did not remember to like actually upload and add those to the PB onto
Gotcha.
speedrun.
And then let's hear from Conception. Hello. How are you doing?
Hello. I've been better, I guess. Yeah, kind of disappointed with the. I know I kind of forfeited. I could have tried to push through a little bit farther. Forces that want to. Yeah, I made a misplay there at the boat rival. I should have probably healed because I was in a dangerous range, but the genuine miss on the thrash didn't help either. So.
Yeah, a genuine miss on the thrash was very unfortunate, especially after I believe it was 2 splits before that you had the terrible luck with the Paris catch rate.
Yeah, that one. At least that one, I didn't feel like it was my fault necessarily. So
Yeah.
We couldn't quite see you were having technical difficulties. Did you try to YOLO ball it the first time or no?
No, I didn't. I hit it.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off a little bit, Conception. You're kind of breaking up, but we did hear you that you chose not to yellow ball it. But I believe you had like 4 or 5 Pokeballs and it broke out. Maybe 5 would be too high. I think 4 would be the max, but it was really surprising to see that and very unfortunate. I do have to ask you though, do you know what duck strats are?
Yeah. I know duck strats. I would have had to get balls, catch. Actually, no, I did have the Spearow, so I'd have to. I thought about doing that as well. That I was doing the post last minute. It wasn't going to waste too much time, so I figured I'd just run it again. Hopefully, I got it on the first ball and be okay with that. But I did consider doing the duck strats there as well.
Yeah, it was one of the funny things because when we weren't, our commentary wasn't working for a while, and me and Tia Kevin were discussing that Spearow could matter if you run out of Pokeballs, and it was one of those things that I believe Duck Strats still would have been faster there since you would still have to do a decent amount of the manip. So also, I do have one more question for you. You also are doing a different route than a lot of the runners where you are choosing not to do a full Mount Moon manip. You're using kind of a little bit older run without Mega Punch. But leading into that, you were on a very good pace run. You had a very good early game.
Yep.
So did that add to the nerves at all as you were heading into Mount Moon and all that?
Maybe a tiny bit. Honestly, I felt really good into leading up to that Paris thing. I wasn't feeling too nervous. I always get a little shaky on that post last minute because I tend to A press a little early and end up getting a Zubat encounter instead of a Paris. So I was a little shaky on that, but I was able to pull it through. But I was really happy with the early game run. You got very good time with the bug catcher, and my Brock fight was pretty seamless. Nothing complicated there at all, and I was happy with that. And then you had mentioned earlier, yeah, I am using older strats. I just truthfully haven't learned the more complicated manips. I'm basically using the easiest form of every manip that you can at the moment. I made the personal goal for my term is now that I'm going to start learning those hips and get a better PV.
Cool.
Oh, that's awesome. And then we'll get back to GBF here in a moment. So I guess I just want to ask you, do you have any more final comments about the race or anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, for me, like I said, I kind of alluded to it. I was a bit disappointed in how I played. I made that mistake there. I do think I'm still a little bit better than I had showed there. So I hope to potentially race or show up and play Pokemon for a speedrunning con or something in the future. So I
definitely.
appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
And just to shout you out even more, you were keeping up with Vivec, who was very consistent and playing very well. Even after that Paris, you were playing extremely well, timing everything, even with the slew of bad luck. So yeah. I will not be surprised if I hear that you PB multiple times here in the next couple weeks.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And then back to GBF. How are you doing? You still awake over there?
Oh yeah, I'm good, man. I'm just I was really sad that Consumption decided to forfeit. Mainly just because we only pushed back our start an hour just for him to get a really good opportunity for an interview. So I'm glad that he did really well there, and I'd like to see.
It had to go well.
Yeah, man. Hey, at least if one thing went well today, it was that over anything else.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with all of that, and we are glad that that went well and that everyone could push it back and give you that opportunity. So at least we have that to celebrate. And then,
exactly.
More on the run as well, GBF. I guess one of my kind of final questions are, when you got to the late part of the game, you seem to be making much more movement mistakes, not really knowing where to go, or general just menuing mistakes.
That's just constant brain farting for me. I run obviously I run with some just bare bones notes, just in case of I forget where I am. I know where my bearings are at least. At one point, the actual notes, my notepad crashed, so I essentially ran from I think Pokemon Mansion up until the end of the game, just off of how much I remembered about the game.
Yeah, I might just consider keeping up a full guide for a while still, because I think you might benefit from reading along with a full guide for a little while longer.
Yeah.
Pokemon is one of those strange speedruns where you can actually use a legit full guide for a lot of the run. It's not like Ocarina of Time or something like that where you can't really scroll and play at the same time. But Pokemon does have that benefit, and that can be helpful as well. But it's not going to help you if your note program crashes.
Yeah, because I essentially just copied, I think it was Exarion's guide.
More likely than not, you were doing a full Mount Moon manip from the outside and got Mega Punch, so that is Exarion's route.
Yeah, so I copied that and I just pasted it into a notepad and then just cut out certain things just because if I don't know this and I can't do this is not good.
Oh, also going back to Mount Moon, you got a Zubat encounter by Mega Punch. Do you happen to know what mistake you made?
I missed an A-press. I either missed an A-press or I was super late on an A-press.
Yeah, generally that is late A-presses in the second floor leading into the Mega Punch room. That 4 A-presses back to back.
Yeah, I think I know which one it was exact. I think it was the exact last one, just before turning down into the ladder. And I think I really hope I hit this. And then when I saw the Zubat, I'm like, all right, just get to the Moonstone, get to that second ladder, and then you can just back up from there.
Yeah, the point manip and all that was great as well. Good thing you knew that. And then I'm gonna ask you as well. Do you have any final comments or thoughts? You kind of gave some a little bit as we went, but then I'll also turn it over to Ti Kevin here. If you also have anything else you want to add.
Yeah. Honestly, like I was just glad Gyarados missed because I have horrible luck with Gyarados. I was pretty glad. And then when I realized, like, I'm like, oh, I did an elixir before the final fight. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. I'm just like, I remember I've screwed this up before. That psychic can kill like 90 times out of 100, but there's a chance that it can't. I'm gonna take this risk and pray for the best.
That we had like a great reaction on that psychic. You were laughing it up.
I was so scared. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be worse than Hydro Pump. Oh no. But hey, if I could find a way to make that more consistent, if I don't have Red Bar, I can now do that instead.
Yeah, I would be worried about the crit from Alakazam from its
Since it has a high speed.
Yeah. But it's funny that if it doesn't crit, that it's like it looks like it's a pretty reasonable not gonna
Live
kill
range. Yeah, you were at like 17.
So yeah, I mean I'm just glad to watch new runners. New people getting into Pokemon Red, so that was super fun to see GBF and Conception. And yeah, again, congrats to Vivec for pulling out that 1.54 in a race. That's a pretty respectable race time right there.
Yeah, so thank you all for showing up and enjoying great runners as they try to show off why Pokemon Red is a really interesting and fun speed run. That'll be it for us today. Just to shout out again on SpeedGaming 1 and SpeedGaming 2 is other runners of the any percent glitchless tournament. So go check them out. One of them should be nearing its completion actually. So that'll be great. Thank you guys for joining us and for racing. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks for commenting, you too.